All right, good morning, everyone. How we doing? All right, good morning. All right, great. I want to thank the Downtown Partnership and Michael Alt and the board of the Downtown Partnership just for their amazing work that they're doing in our community. So let's give them one more round of applause for the great work they're doing. Thanks, Mike. And then I also want to say good morning on behalf of all the elected officials. There's so many elected officials here today and city staff. If you wouldn't mind collectively, whether you work at the state or the county or the city or around our region, can all the elected officials just stand really quickly and then we can give them, they don't ever get enough applause, trust me. Let's give all the elected officials a round of applause. And this room is pretty crowded, so I think everybody's here for the keynote speaker. So I'm excited. I'm not going to say he arrived fashionably late or anything. It's good to have the keynote speaker, whomever that person is, with us today. Let me talk a little bit about downtown and what we've done. And again, Mike, you guys have done an incredible job, you and your team. We've got great momentum over 2012, over this last year. We were able to sell the Westfield Mall, which is really significant. We were able to continue the progress along K Street, which is something that we've been working on for many years, but in particular the last 4 years, we've gotten really good momentum. We completed phase 1 of the track relocation, and certainly federal and state, and Doris Matsui, our congresswoman, has done a great job pushing that forward. And then we secured a $30 million Tiger grant for phase 2. And that's something that a lot of you in this room were a part of. And that was a big deal for our community because we were unsuccessful a few times, but we were finally able to deliver that. So having a healthy and vibrant downtown core is vital to our city and certainly to our region. And I think for all of us collectively, I think we know we're shifting from recession to recovery. And each of us in our community must make a conscious effort to do our part to create job and certainly stimulate economic growth. And for some of us, it means shopping or dining downtown and buying more locally. And for some of the business leaders in the room, it's about prioritizing your investments and expansion plans, certainly in the Sacramento area. And you know, as well as I do, the multiplier effect on your investment can impact not just the city and our county, but certainly our region. And I'm just proud to say that our city staff, our city manager, and our policymakers on the council, we know that we need to be more nimble and smarter and a little bit quicker on our feet. We're going to do everything that we can to create a better business climate. We've already taken great steps in terms of streamlining and permitting the processes. A lot of you in here we've already heard of in terms of our parking ordinance, which was another significant step forward as it relates to infill and urban development. And then lastly, as a mayor, certainly my top priority is to make sure that our downtown is a strong regional attraction for all of us. And part of that, I believe, includes a state-of-the-art entertainment and sports complex. And I think that can be a catalyst for many more developments downtown. So, I'm sure many of you want to hear the update on the Kings. So, you want to be introduced now, Gavin, or do you want me to do the Kings? And you want to hear the update? Okay, all right. He wants to hear the update. And I'm going to officially introduce our Lieutenant Governor a little bit later, but I do have to say this. He's been a very, very good friend for 5+ years. And when I was running for mayor, one of the first mayors I sat down and talked to was Mayor Gavin Newsom at the time. And he's a policy wonk, like for real. I sat down with him, he was just spewing out policy one after another. He's like, homelessness? And then he'd give me his policy rendition of how to save homeless people in San Francisco. Then I asked him about green and sustainability. And then he started talking about policy on green and sustainability. Then I asked him about public safety. And then he started riffing on all the things that they've done as a supervisor. And then before he was a supervisor and a business owner. And then finally I said, do you like have a book of like policies? He said, I'm glad you asked, I do. So he sent me literally a binder about this size of 17 different policies that he had instituted or done over the last, 4, 8 years at the time. So, Lieutenant Governor, I do want you to know before I get into my Kings update, we're going to steal a little bit of your playbook in San Francisco. You okay with that? Your playbook is our playbook? Okay, great. So here's the background on the Kings for everybody. We've been here before. In fact, twice before in the last 4 years. For those of you who've been here for a lot longer, it's been no telling how many times we've been here before. But Anaheim 2011, we did the impossible. The team was this close to leaving to go to Anaheim, and we figured out a way to block relocation. And we want to do everything we can to make sure it never happened to a community like Sacramento. And we showed the NBA that we're a fighting city, and we kept our team. That was 2011. In 2012, we were charged with coming up with a financing plan to build a new downtown arena without raising taxes or impacting the general fund. We did that. We came up with a project cost of about $400 million, and we met our March relocation deadline, and we saved our team another year. It was a win for Sacramento, it was a win for the Kings, and it was a win for the NBA. We know that deal did not end up panning out because the owners felt that it wasn't in their best interest for some reason or another. And I feel for our community, just talking straight, we knew at that point that they were going to be exploring offers to go to other cities. And you heard those other cities. There was Seattle, there was Vancouver, there was Kansas City, there was Vegas, and there was Virginia Beach. All these cities were being rumored to be considered for our Kings team. And the two questions that were looming for me all along, because publicly they had not acknowledged that they were willing to sell the team, were one, are you willing to sell it, and what's your number? And I felt if we knew they were going to sell the team and if we had a number, then it would give us a chance in our community to put our best foot forward. So where do things stand now? In December, we started hearing rumors that the team was going to file for relocation, possibly in Seattle. In December, we learned that a Seattle group, Hanson and Ballmer, were going to put an outrageous number out there to try to acquire our team here in Sacramento, and that number was $525 million. In January, the deal leaked out, and then last week, it became very clear, and it was very public, that they were engaged in a deal as it related to Seattle. That was on January 9th. And as strange as that sounds for our community, I want you to know that was good news because two questions were answered. They were willing to sell, which we knew, and we knew what their number was. And it became public. And at the press conference last week, the couple things I tried to tell our community is this is a great opportunity because we know the team is for sale. And secondly, we now have to do everything that we can to find owners that are going to be committed to Sacramento. And I want us in this room to know that everybody around the NBA and the league knows that Sacramento's a great market. There's no doubt about our market, how our fans have been, how we've proven ourselves over and over and over and over again. So I felt in terms of today's topic for downtown partnership, I wanted to make it really relevant for people in the room. And honestly, I am going to steal a little bit of San Francisco's playbook here. So think about the San Francisco model. 1992 or so, the current owners sought to sell the team and move it to Tampa. We all remember that. In fact, we have tons of Giants fans here. The mayor at the time and the community vowed to stop relocation. And eventually the team was sold to a local ownership group. And the Major League Baseball owners voted down the relocation opportunity. So because the community fought along with its electeds and everybody around in their region, they were able to keep their team. And why was that so important to San Francisco? It was bigger than baseball. It was about economic development opportunities. It was a chance to revitalize their downtown area. It was about economic activity on an old rail yard site. And that's what they did in San Francisco. So today, Sacramento, I want to lay out our playing to win strategy. We do have a strategy, and we're going to name it Playing to Win, because we're not in it just to sing and dance. We want this to be the final act of a saga that's went on for far too long. So the first play in our playbook is number one, identify potential equity partners. Number 2, identify potential local ownership group. 3, demonstrate the city and region's commitment to partner on a downtown arena. And 4, demonstrate the viability and strength of our Sacramento market. Those are the 4 things that you're going to hear us talk about day in and day out. That's our playbook, those 4 things. What does the ownership criteria look like? A lot of you have asked me that. So let me give you 5 things that are part of the ownership criteria. Number 1, they have to have the resources to do a deal and to meet the NBA standards to own a team. The wherewithal, financially. Number 2, the team must remain in Sacramento. As we talk to people time and time again who are interested in this market, they have to make a commitment to keep our team in Sacramento. Number 3, the new arena must be a part of the transaction. So yes, it's a team, but it's building a new arena downtown so we can continue the great work that we've been doing in this community. Number 4, the ownership group must include local partners. You might find investment equity investors from somewhere else. That's great, but we have to have a local presence and local participation. We do not want absentee owners. We need owners who are here and committed to the Sacramento community. And lastly, the current owners can participate in some capacity if they desire. And that will be up to the equity investors and our local partnership, but we want to give them an opportunity if they want to remain a part of this team and this community. What's the timeline and process, you ask? We're in a 6-week sprint. March 1st, the filing deadline is right around the corner. So needless to say, I've been up all night for the last 4 or 5 days. It's going to take all of us coming together, working collectively. It's a sprint for 6 weeks. You know the relocation committee and the NBA governing board, they approve any relocation or any sale. That's part of the process. I spoke to Commissioner Stern over the weekend, and I asked him for permission to be able to address the NBA governing board, and it was granted. So once again, Sacramento will get a chance to put our best foot forward. The commissioner says that our community has every right to present a counteroffer that's fair and competitive, and to talk about what this team means to not only our city and our region, and I'm really excited about that opportunity. So going back to San Francisco, we all know how that story played out. They kept the team, they built a world-class stadium, they revitalized a significant part of downtown, and they went on to win 2 World Series in 2010 and 2012. The great thing about them winning the World Series is they bring the trophy in Sacramento, and we get a chance to touch it and take pictures, and it just feels good. It's nothing like winning. So we have every reason to believe in our community that we can do the same thing that was done in San Francisco. It's going to take all of us working together. Again, there's 6 weeks. We're going to work really, really hard, and we're going to ask everybody in here to be involved in some capacity. It's going to take the community support, our fans, our grassroots efforts, our corporate and business communities to all do what you've done in the past. So without any further ado, that's the Sacramento Kings update. Council and the county board of supervisors, Darrell Steinberg and Ted Gaines and others in the State House, we've already begun real conversations on that. So I felt it was appropriate that our speaker this year is following the speaker from last year, and last year's speaker was Larry Baer, and he told us how to build an arena and pay for it, and we figured out a way to do that. And I hope in some shape or form when Gavin talks about his commitment to economic development and the blueprint that he was trying to do in California to keep jobs here and make us a competitive state, he also at least sheds a little light on maybe what a new stadium meant to San Francisco when you were mayor and what stadiums mean or arenas to cities. So if you wouldn't mind giving a round of applause for the Lieutenant Governor, one of the coolest dudes in all of politics, the one and only Gavin Newsom.